We are born into the world with nothing but ourselves. We cannot take anything with us when we pass on from this world, but we can leave something behind for the benefit of the people yet to come. Great law of peace, Haudenosaunee Constitution.
I'm going left. I'm going left.
Guten Morgen, good morning everyone, und herzlich willkommen beim 6. Creative Bureaucracy Festival. Welcome to the 6th Creative Bureaucracy Festival. My name is Johanna, I'm the director of this nice little event, and I'm so happy to see so many of you here. There are some faces that I have seen before, some faces that I have not seen before, and I really can't wait to spend the day with all of you. So today on the stage, we're going to do a little bit of English, a little bit of Deutsch. We call it Denglisch around here, so we have a bit for the international audience and some for the German audience as well. So 3 years ago, when I walked into the world of creative bureaucracy, I didn't really know what to expect. Do all bureaucrats wear suits? Do they still use fax machines? And what is happening in all of these offices? Well, now, 3 years later, I'm here with two people that I now call my friends. And they have started this whole festival. So let's ask them, how did we even get here? Sebastian, can you tell us about how this festival came to life?
It started with meeting Charles. I had the opportunity to moderate a panel where he was speaking, and when I prepared, I read about his concept of the creative bureaucracy. And as a person born into a civil service family, it was a kind of a big thing, you know. It seems to be a conflict, but you meet so many people in public service who are creative and bureaucrats and who love both sides, that I felt this is an incredibly igniting thought, and there should be a meeting for that. And of course, it can't be a regular meeting like, you know, a conference. So we came up with the idea to add to the creative bureaucracy the festival. And this is what you are having and doing and contributing today.
Thank you so much, Sebastian. Now, Charles, over to you. Tell us a bit more. What is creative bureaucracy? Can bureaucracy be creative? Let us know.
I don't know if that's a difficult question or an easy question, because a creative bureaucracy is this, that, the allies, the bureaucrats, all of them together, it embodies this. I'm just looking at you more closely. You embody this just in passing. I could say more, I'll try and say more. You know, a bureaucrat, a creative bureaucrat is more open than closed. They like to think afresh. They tend to say yes rather than no. They say, why don't we try this? I know life is difficult. I know we need stability, but we need flexibility. That's the bureaucrat. The bureaucracy embodies that, auf Deutsch zu sagen, wie sagt man das? Entkörpert? Nein, nicht entkörpert. Verkörpert! Nicht entkörpert.
Verkörpert.
Anyway, it embodies that. The bureaucracy embodies that. And that's more or less it. But what it also is in a way, it's a community, it's a movement in the making, and there are lots of people here who come from so many different directions who seem to have the same sort of thinking, that there is something quite important going on. And the book we wrote is called The Creative Bureaucracy. That's fine, okay. Semicolon. And what I really think is more important now is the subtitle. And it's radical common sense. And I think this is what we're talking about, this common sense. The new common sense. Bureaucracy is not everything, but without one, you can't always do much.
You can't always do much. Another little piece of creative bureaucracy that we did today was some of you don't wear their name tag yet because we really wanted to see all of you here on stage for the opening. So if you don't have your name tag yet and if you haven't really checked in, just after this session or in the next 1-2 hours when you have 5 minutes, get a coffee, get your name tag and then come back, join us. Well, but we are not going to be here on the stage all day. We have two wonderful people who are going to be your moderators for today. So please welcome on stage Astrid Frohloff and Nadine Haddad. Thank you so much for being with us.
Well, thank you so much. Dankeschön.
Disappear.
That was a nice opening. Thank you so much, Sebastian und Charles und Johanna. Das sind die Masterminds hinter all dem hier, was heute stattfindet. Auch wir beide möchten Sie ganz herzlich willkommen heißen zum 6. Creative Bureaucracy Festival. Wir freuen uns auf einen großartigen Tag mit den besten kreativen Köpfen von Verwaltungen aus aller Welt heute.
Und wir freuen uns natürlich, dass Sie hier mit im Saal sind, aber wir haben auch einen Livestream, das heißt auch ein Warm Welcome zu Ihnen nach Hause.
Und ich möchte Ihnen meine Co-Moderatorin vorstellen. Nadine Haddad ist in diesem Jahr bei uns, eine großartige Moderatorin, und sie wird durch das englischsprachige Programm hier auf der Hauptbühne, auf der Mainstage führen. Nadine Haddad is our moderator for the English program here on the Mainstage today.
Thank you, Astrid. Und Astrid Frohloff hat das schon ein paar Jahre gemacht. Sie weiß, was hier passiert. Ich freue mich natürlich, an deiner Seite hier moderieren zu dürfen und wird durch das deutschsprachige Programm führen.
So ist es. Kurz noch mal vorab gefragt, Nadine, du hast gelesen von dem Namen des Festivals, Festival Creative Bureaucracy. Ganz ehrlich, was war dein erster Gedanke, als du es gehört hast?
Also ich habe als erstes gedacht, es ist ein Widerspruch, weil wenn mir im Alltag Bürokratie begegnet, ist es eher immer sehr langsam, eher verstaubt, es macht nicht so viel Spaß, es ist eher nicht so kreativ und innovativ. Ich habe aber gehört, dass es hier anders zugeht und dass hier richtig gute Leute sind, die es progressiv vorantreiben, dass sich da was ändert. Oder es hat sich schon was geändert durch Sie.
Das ist der geheime Plan, den wir haben, denn wir wollen heute natürlich den gegenteiligen Beweis antreten. Wir wollen zeigen, gemeinsam mit Ihnen und Ihren tollen, innovativen, kreativen Ideen, was Verwaltung, was Bürokratie in aller Welt leisten kann, dass sie bürgerfreundlich ist, dass sie schnell ist, dass sie offen ist, dass sie unkonventionell ist und dass sie eben doch sogar Spaß machen kann.
Genau, und als erstes, apropos Spaß, werden wir ein Familienfoto zusammen machen. Vielleicht kennen Sie das schon von den Vorjahren. Sie haben Sunglasses auf Ihren Stühlen schon gefunden. I will switch in English. Quickly, you will find sunglasses all at the chairs and you will put them on and then stand up, get up, and then we'll take a huge family photo all together.
Okay.
So, perfect.
And for this, we would need our photographer who brings a huge letter.
Hi.
Because he has to picture all of you. And this is amazing. I mean, you should see the picture I see now and we see from here. It's so funny. Okay, so if you don't have glasses, don't worry, it's okay. Just be yourself, just be natural.
Just smile.
Smile
is the best.
Smiling is the best. And you should tell us, yeah, we want to join as well. Okay. We should move the glasses. Okay, we need glasses as well.
I know where they are.
Okay.
Wait a second.
One sec. Okay, we have the... Komm, Sebastian, hier. Wir gucken hier so ein bisschen durch. So. Okay, alles hingewurschtelt? Alles okay?
Super.
Okay.
One guy with what?
With glasses.
Okay. I thought everyone has
Okay, that was it. Thank you so much.
Big applause for you guys.
Amazing.
Kannst du mir geben?
Oh my goodness, these glasses. I never thought I would use those glasses.
while presenting. I will put them
Also
here.
dieses Foto können Sie sehen später auf der Homepage und auch im Newsletter werden wir es verschicken. The photo you're going to see on the webpage and in the newsletter. And I remember the picture from last year and it was really amazing and it's such a nice memory from this festival.
Perfect.
Okay, so
What do we do today?
what do we do today?
What do we have here today?
Yes, could you give us some of these impressive numbers?
Okay, wir treffen hier in 7 Formaten und insgesamt 73 Sessions auf über 150 Speaker und Speakerinnen aus über 40 Ländern. Unter anderem sind mit dabei Leute aus Finnland, Österreich, Jordanien, Brasilien, Chile, Niederlande und vieles mehr. Und das Programm, wie Astrid schon gesagt hat, wird immer 50% auf Englisch sein und auch 50% auf Deutsch.
Das alles finden Sie im Programmheft, das Sie hier sehen, das aber auch überall ausliegt in gedruckter Form. Da können Sie sich individuell Ihr eigenes Programm zusammenstellen und schauen, wohin Sie heute gehen möchten, was Sie interessiert. Kurz zur Struktur des Ganzen. Hier auf der Mainstage finden 1 Stunde lang deutsche Sessions, 1 Stunde lang englische Sessions statt. Immer in Blöcken. Das gesamte Programm ist in einstündige Blöcke unterteilt und immer am Ende der Stunde haben Sie Gelegenheit, in einen anderen Raum zu switchen. Hier auf der Bühne finden 3 bis 4 Kurztalks innerhalb eines Blocks statt. Dann haben wir noch weitere tolle Formate für Sie, das Seminar, Bowl, Meetups, die haben so 50 Minuten Länge und etwas längere Formate, Academy und Background Tables, die sind 90 Minuten lang. Und dann unser großes Highlight ganz am Ende, ab 18 Uhr, unser Grand Finale, unser großes Finale mit der Award-Verleihung, mit dem CBF-Preis, den wir heute Abend verleihen werden. Also freuen uns sehr auf dieses Programm, können Sie alles nachlesen, ganz in Ruhe. Und jetzt haben wir noch was Besonderes.
Genau, wir haben noch ein anderes Highlight. Und zwar, wir haben jetzt gerade schon die Sunglasses gefunden, aber ich würde Sie bitten, jetzt auch mal unter Ihre Stühle zu gucken. So, if you look underneath your chairs, maybe some of you will find something. If you find something, just show it to us, and afterwards I will explain what this means. Okay, I see something over there. Just okay, there also.
Okay.
I think
Yeah,
over
here, there are a lot.
Okay, so the name
This
of
is
the
the
ticket
interesting side.
is golden ticket. So it has to mean something special. And the golden ticket means that you have a workshop on a boat on the River Spree outside of the house, of the building. And you can, every full hour, you will have a workshop over there. And after this welcoming session, you can register for a workshop, a title you're interested in. And yeah, if you can't join it or you don't want to attend, I think you need to join it because it will be so awesome. You can hand the golden ticket to someone else. And yeah, so lucky you guys with the golden tickets.
Yeah, that's a good thing to do.
Because you will be outside in the sun
Yeah.
on the boat.
Okay, just one more thing to mention. Those of you who've got the golden ticket, you should go after this session to the info counter and just, sign up for the session you would like to join. Then everything is in order. Okay, so what else do we have? We're almost coming towards the end, but now it's getting serious.
Yes, now it's getting serious. Der Titel der ersten Diskussion ist Embracing Resilience, Empowering Lasting Transformation in Challenging Times. Wir haben in dieser Session, wie auch in den anderen Sessions, ganz tolle Gäste und moderiert wird die erste Session von unserem Festival President, den Sie schon kennengelernt haben. Einen großen Applaus nochmal für Charles Landry.
Bitte schön.
Hallo, hallo. Sonst zwischen uns?
I was tempted to announce you not as Charles Landry, but as Charles the Legend Landry.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Charles Laundry. But anyway, no, I didn't know. But anyway.
Okay, but now the stage is yours, Charles. We are leaving because you're taking over the moderation
Okay.
We
of
see each
this
other
I'll see you
panel
later.
later on.
discussion.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Okay.
Okay. Where are my friends? I'm alone. Great. Da 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 da. Yes. So here we are. Who have we got here? We've got 4 quite interesting people. What I mean is, that's British understatement. Anyway, this is Marco Daglio, and he is head of OPSI, the Office for Public Sector Innovation at the OECD, which many of you will know has done a vast amount of work at monitoring, doing, collecting examples, case studies of things that are to do with public innovation, and you've done a study about it all. Followed by our friend who is, I like your combination, Mexican-German, Tatiana Munoz, who is on the supervisory board of PD, the entity that supports us incredibly well. Thank you very much for that. And then it's followed by Luana from Brazil. And we really like her, but we'll find out about her later. And then there's Sasha Hasselmeyer, an old friend of mine who is part of Ashoka, and many of you know that Ashoka is an organization that develops, creates, encourages, supports change makers, and he's done other things in his life, you know, about rethinking procurement and so on. So, can I start off with you, Marco? Do you mind?
Of course not.
Ah, great. You know, there's been 2 themes I want to just explore a bit. Has there been any impact with all the stuff that we've been doing, others have been doing, you've been doing, and so on? And later on, perhaps as we move along, and these will be short, sharp, snappy exchanges, we'll talk a bit about what triggers change and what is the transformative effect, or is there a transformative effect? So just starting off, has there been any impact? You know, COVID, lots of experiments were done, did any mainstream, etc., etc. Please tell us a bit about that.
Thanks, Charles. Thanks for inviting me here today. I'm really honored to be part of this festival. The short answer is yes, and many, many advancements and many progress being done over the past few years. I mean, if we just look the sheer amount of data evidence of what innovations are there in governments, we are surprised by seeing the variety, the depth. There's more innovation labs, innovation unit, innovation clubs, networks that was in 2 to 3, 4 years ago. So it's a movement that is growing. It's a movement also that has created for itself a common language, and I think more importantly, a common purpose, and partly that has been due to COVID, that has generated this effect that innovation is now part of the solutions, is the new stabilizer, if you want, in a sense that it's clear to us and what we see in governments that there is a acceleration of the speed in which government need to work, but not only acceleration per se, but also building the right capacity to respond, to pivot, to change, and that is becoming the antidote, if you want, to the challenges and a way to build resilience more strongly. So. And maybe it's a community that is growing, but it's a community that has created for itself a number of successes. I mean, thinking about the institutionalization of things like the right to challenge that now in a number of countries they start embedding in their own legislation and norms, but also a self-reflection on what is this community for at the international level. It's really about learning. It's comparing yourself, but because we need to learn more about what countries are doing. And another important thing has been this, the appropriation of this right to copy or right to steal, someone called it, which I think it's a very good intuition of what is really happening. Learning from each other as a first important element.
Great. I'm going to jump over to Luana, if you don't mind. Now, you won one of our awards, on the Digital Kickoff Day, and it was wonderful. You were sitting there doing your 5-minute video, and you said, oh, I had this brilliant idea, I'm going to set up this public innovation lab. And then you said, I thought it was going to be easy. But then I bumped into all these obstacles. It just was so bloody difficult. I can't tell you what it was like. But actually now, a bit later, you've got literally thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of people involved. I mean, would you say you've had an impact? Just give us a bit of a flavor of what happened there.
Thank you for the big crowd. I'm a little bit nervous, but very excited to be here. Well, there's a lot of impact created, especially because of the support we have from users. The users are our biggest support. So it doesn't matter, for example, for us, if there is a big change in politics, for example, because if we have the users with us, it's something that's going to continue. And of course, data, always based the decisions on data, on science. And the impact we created was because we help people to create an environment that is not toxic, that has psychological safety and confidence, trust among people, collaboration. Because sometimes we focus on developing skills, for example, but it's just not about having the skill or the will. It's also about having an environment where you can put your human abilities into practice. And this is the biggest challenge we have. And from now 3 years and a half, almost 4 years, that we have developed this lab. And now we can say that we have a huge impact based on what we collect of evidence that really transformed people's life in Brazil, public employees' lives in Brazil.
Yeah, you'll hear a bit more later about that in detail if you want. So I'll just switch over to you, Tatiana. I love this sentence I saw on your website, which said sort of something like, let me just get it translated in my mind. It wasn't quite when the going gets dirty, let's jump in there, but it was a version of when it gets tough, you dive in there, get into politics and all of that. So you represent for me in this this little grouping here, that lovely balance between, you know, having been a politician, now working in an advisory service that is a public sector advisory service, having worked also in the administration. So you encapsulate a hell of a lot. Just tell us a bit about all that.
Well, I like to go where it hurts. And we need to leave our bubble. I think that's like the most important thing I've learned for the last years in the different roles in government, as a politician, and now at government-owned consultancy, that we need to go to the government offices where it smells like old paper and coffee, but not coffee crema or not cappuccino, Filterkaffee, yeah? And we need to find those people because of two reasons. First, of all, we are like a close community here, and a movement is not a close thing. So we need to step out, but in a very humble way too. If you go to the people there, we innovators in a lab, in institutions, in consultancies, we can learn a lot from them, from their experience. So I think to be humble is one of the main things, how to be creative because of trust. And the people in the government and the administrations, they are not sitting right here. Well, they are our allies. And they are our users too. Yeah. So I think this is our mission from this movement and from this community, to go out there where it hurts, where the people doesn't see us, but in a very humble way too.
Yeah, no, that's interesting because the creative bureaucracy thing has a few pillars, key things. How do you rethink incentives and regulations for the future? The inner life, I'm hearing from Luana and you that this inner life, the psychological feeling inside an organization is incredibly important. Is this a warm organization? or a cold one? Is it an organization that tends to say no or tends to say yes if? And so I really like what you're saying there. Can I jump over to you down the road, Sasha? Because I was about to say a funny bloke, I didn't mean that. But what I think is really interesting, because you're going to present later on a book which is called The Slow Lane, and somehow I'm switching to our second topic, did you have an impact and all of that, is what triggers change. And in a way, you're saying some version of slow is the new fast. Can you just explain that?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for having me here, first of all. And as you know, I've spent 10 years diving very, very deep into the fabulous world of government procurement, deep inside the bureaucracy. And the first thing I want to say is I think every bureaucrat is a creative bureaucrat. I've never met a non-creative bureaucrat. And I think that mindset, this idea that in fact everyone can create the change, is something really, really important. And I think what I took away from both the work we did on procurement, making it delightful and engaging, as well as the work we're doing at Ashoka around making everyone a change maker, is this idea that we need to create a world where everyone feels invited and capable to contribute to change. And I think the starting point for all of these things is the mindset, the expectation of what is possible. What is possible inside my bureaucracy? What can I do? What can something like procurement look like? We learned that you can change the mindsets. And then the way how you do it, the technical stuff, the actual solutions are secondary. And the same when we look out of our bureaucracies and into society, understanding that truly everyone, the everyone is what matters, is fully capable and needs to feel invited, which means it's not up to us to say you're invited. They need to feel and receive that invitation and feel that they can now contribute. And that journey can take a long time. And when you're at a moment of crisis, like the climate crisis we have right now or digitization challenges, in moments of crisis we tend to shrink and close ourselves off, become autocratic almost, to get the things done that need to be done. And what I found in studying all these social movements is that the opposite way succeeds. At the moment of crisis, when you're most afraid, you need to go out and make everyone included and feel invited. So that's the slow part, this counterintuitive, when you're looking for a quick solution, to take that path that seems so slow, but that gets you to the right place much faster in the end.
Yeah, we'll hear more about that later. Obviously, the big word came up, mindset. And we had a bit of a conversation yesterday, and mindset, yes, what is this mindset? What are the qualities and characteristics of these minds that are in these institutions? And I think you've already indicated what they might be like. But we had a point, and do you mind if I ask you this, Marco? It's one of the biggest questions in the world, by the way, which is, what is more important, culture or structure? Or is that a too simplistic way of putting it?
It's not simplistic, and I think that there is a complexity in that, because you have to work on both if you want to get anything out of being able to have a civil service that is equipped to do real change when it matters. And what we find is that working only on motivations, individual motivations, it's something, but you have to have some of these explicit enablers built in that look at how do you create a better conditions, that enabling conditions for civil servants to act. You need to work on the traditional way of working in the administration. On the traditional functions, you have to have this community have to have an open dialogue with regulators, with budget officials, with auditors, and not only kind of bring them to their views, but work with them possible ways so that innovation becomes a reality. Because if it's not actively supported for the center, what we're seeing is that the burden feels only on those that are more motivated, that will do it anyway, a small cohort, and it becomes unsustainable. And we don't want unsustainable innovation in government, but something completely different. And if you allow me, perhaps just one reflection on one of the key difficulty that is the relation that government and civil service has with risk, and in particular, the concept of failure. How we can embrace risk-taking in a much more structured and systemic way, and what's the space that individuals have in doing that. And very often, we discussed it yesterday, that there is a sort of aversion to move into a space that is not known because the fear that there is a regulation standing out there. But very oftentimes, these regulations do not exist in the mind of people that are doing it. There are research that points to this concept of phantom regulations. You know, regulations that are felt, that are part of a cultural structure, but they're not really out there. So how we can motivate people to look at what is really a blocker and what is not.
Can I just, to the audience, say, this is a big word that we must all remember. I loved it when we talked about this yesterday. The phantom regulations. They're in the mind, they don't exist, they're these ghosts that hold you back. Can I move over to you, Luana? Have you been able to banish any ghosts? Because so much of what you do is really trying to also give your civil servants and so on real confidence that they can do things. You're basically giving a sense that they could have agency. And by the way, Tatiana, I think that's also one of the things you think of a lot. Can you just say a few things? I mean, have you seen change in your groupings?
Well, two things about that. First, Brazil is a highly regulated country, highly regulated. So we have rules for everything. But sometimes the reality changes first. Actually, most times, reality changes and forces regulation to change. And that's what's happening now. Not like before. Before we had the regulation and we have to do accordingly to the regulation. But now, the reality changes like every day, not every month, every day. So regulations have to adapt to the reality. And another thing is when I think of culture and when I think of failure, for example, we have to understand that, for example, in Brazil, when we talk about mindset, about disruptive or digital mindset, this is something that doesn't touch people's hearts. It's something that sometimes is far from our everyday reality as public servants. So we need to approach these people with plain language and use, for example, behavioral insights to make the change happen and touch people's hearts. Not only talking about motivation or purpose in a romantic way, we need to deal with the reality of people. Otherwise, they're going to be even more far from these subjects. And this is not what we want. We want to engage people. And the strategies we use, they are successful, not every time, but many times we have success stories to tell because we tell people's real stories. We connect their stories to the data to create the transformation. We do not ignore people's stories. We have to deal and include their stories in our strategies to touch people's hearts and to make the transformation to happen.
So this is this sort of direct experience that is visceral, that touches you, well, nearly in the stomach or somewhere or here, or heart. Here. Oh, heart, yes, sorry, I forgot about the heart. Well, everywhere.
May I say something?
Of course.
These phantom regulations, they haunted me until my very nightmares while I was working for government. And now, well, I was searching for how to become a ghostbuster, you know? And now I'm a ghostbuster of this phantom regulation. That's what we are doing in our daily jobs, because we go there to the government administration, we show them the freedom that they can have. So I don't want like culture and structure. We have the structures now. We are not going to change them like this, but we can hunt the ghosts. So that's what we're doing every time and every single day. And all states, on national and federal and in the municipalities too.
Yeah, I mean, what that reminds me is this whole thing about, do you follow the letter of the law or the spirit of the law or the regulation and so on?
Yeah.
Because often that regulation was made in a time when it was expressed in a certain way and conditions have changed. But do you mind if I just pick up one thing, because I'm focusing on you having once been a politician in Mainz in that area. Sorry about bringing up your past. But a lot of what people have said to us, it's all very well talking about imaginative bureaucrats and all of that. Well, if you've got a politician who's a pain in the neck of the worst sort, then there's not much you can do. So what often, when people complain about, narrow-minded administrators, it's often that they're, to some extent, being disabled by the politicians above. So can you say a few words about that? Because I think perhaps in future we should have 150 politicians here as well, and just have a deeper dialogue. But can you say a few words?
Yes. Don't be shocked by this, but we need a bigger lobby for government innovation. It's about economy of time. It's about economy of Aufmerksamkeit. What's the English word? Attention. We need the attention of the politicians because they are bombed by so many information. So we have to strategically see them also as our users, as we do with the citizens. Go there and be as badass as the lobbyists and go there and get their attention and get their time too. I think it's the best way to get to politicians. Right. Being myself a politician for a time.
Yeah. I'll remember that. Thank you very much. Now, Sasha, this is probably the last question of our little session. Where would you go next? Because what we say sometimes is this thing we're doing here is about administrators, bureaucrats, and so on, and their allies. And I feel so much you're one of our big allies. And you've done a hell of a lot of work around social entrepreneurs and stuff like that. Can you just say a few words about how these allies and the institutions and the bureaucrats can somehow come together better?
Yeah, so I want to come back to this question of everyone and how we invite everyone. And generally speaking, from a government perspective, when we think about citizen participation, first of all, we already reduced the citizen to someone who participates and doesn't create, is not a partner, but is someone who helps us take a decision. And of course, we set timeframes on this, and those timeframes are on projects. They tend to be maybe 2 months or 3 months consultation, or maybe a year. When we look at the work that social entrepreneurs do, people who are out of these communities, building, organizing communities, and developing these systems-changing solutions, they often spend 10 to 20 years building trust with these communities, bringing them to a place where they have the courage to raise their hand, to sit at the table, to have something to offer. So one question is, how do we begin to insert a real understanding of what it takes to take people seriously, to bring them to the table, to invite them, and those hard-to-reach people into the world? So the good news is there's a whole world that government generally doesn't know about, which is social entrepreneurs. So 1.2% of the world's adult population self-identifies as someone who's building an organization or a movement to solve a social or ecological problem. That's 50 million people building organizations to solve problems. So I think one thing is for us in the bureaucracy, the creative bureaucracy, to think about how to partner and involve these partners. But another is to understand their role, not just in whether they offer the right technical solution, but they provide access to these communities we so urgently need to bring to the table. And I think with that we can create a caring approach to how we're building change and how we're doing the really transformative work. And one example that I really like, and I'll shut up, is instead of thinking about how we manage homelessness, the question should be, how do we end it? And that ending requires a different type of constellation, a different type of grouping and collaboration than simply improving the way we're managing homelessness. And I think we should focus on these terminal answers to problems rather than kind of ways of servicing and improving our service to problems.
Oh, well, that's a good way. You used the word end. end of this session as well. No, that's very good. So look, can I thank Marco, Tatiana, Luana and Sasha for just getting us a bit going and going snap, snap, snap. So we're ready to go and ready to roll in all sorts of ways. Thank you very much. Thanks, my friend.
Thank you. Ja, wow. Das war ein toller, spannender, inhaltlicher Auftakt, der, glaube ich, einen guten Vorgeschmack gegeben hat auf all die Themenaspekte, mit denen wir uns beschäftigen werden heute den ganzen Tag über. Und es waren sehr spannende Aspekte dabei. Ich mochte sehr den Hinweis darauf, every bureaucrat can be creative, everybody in public service matters. Und ich habe auch verstanden, Bureaucrats are Ghostbusters, Ghost Hunters. I didn't know.
Auf jeden Fall. Ich habe mir auch gemerkt, dass sich auf jeden Fall der Filterkaffee mit dem Cappuccino an den Tisch setzen muss. Also der Austausch ist wichtig und dass die Communities auch inkludiert werden und einen Safe Space dafür haben, um eben die Informationen auszutauschen. Also ich finde, man hat einen ganz guten Einblick bekommen, dass der Austausch so wichtig ist. Umso toller ist es, dass Sie heute hier sind und wir, denke ich, ganz viel heute lernen werden.
Jetzt sind Sie aber gefragt, denn jetzt geht es gleich ab 10 Uhr in die Sessions, in die einzelnen Blocks, die wir für Sie vorbereitet haben. Werfen Sie gerne einen Blick ins Programm und überlegen Sie, wohin Sie dann um Punkt 10 Uhr wechseln möchten. Wir geben noch mal eine kleine Hilfestellung.
Genau, es gibt hier eine Map, da können Sie sehen, das ist auch im Printed Program mit drin, wo was ist. Wir sind hier gerade bei der Mainstage, das sehen Sie dort und es gibt eben noch die ganzen anderen Räume, es gibt einen Food Court, dann können Sie sich so ein bisschen überlegen, wo Sie hingehen. You can see everything in the printed program, just look it up where you want to go and to which session you want to go, and if you have any questions, doubts, whatever, here are a lot of crew members, they wear also t-shirts, feel free to ask them for help.
Okay. Und wir starten den Block hier in der Mainstage um Punkt 10 Uhr. Sie haben jetzt Zeit zu wechseln in andere Räume, wenn Sie möchten. Hier geht es weiter mit dem Inneren der Verwaltung und wir reden über nachhaltige Wirkung und wie der Wandel gelingen kann. Um 10 Uhr geht es weiter.
Um 10 Uhr geht's weiter. Vielen Dank.
Wir sehen uns hier. Bis dahin. Bis gleich.
Ihnen.